Hey guys, how you doing? I think today is the day that I want to really talk about. There are bad actors in our discourse, right? People who are actually not interested in improving the society, who are actually not interested in helping anyone. They're interested in extracting wealth. I call these people sociopaths. Now, I'm not a medical professional, but I don't need to be a plumber to know my toilet's clogged. And if I called a plumber and he came over and told me that my toilet wasn't clogged, I would fire him and then I would attempt to unclog it myself. So that's exactly what you're seeing here. I've got some construction going on outside my window for the last 30 forever. So I'm just going to close up very briefly. I'm going to lay out why I think that we should start calling these people sociopaths pretty clearly. Let's start with the basic facts about the basic income, right? And let's talk about it in the only way that these people care, which is money, right? They don't care about us. They don't care about human life. They don't care about improving the society. They care about money. So the basic income is cheaper than what we do now. The Parliamentary Budgetary Office puts the cost of a basic income at $24 billion. That's the same as the child care benefit that we currently already have, which is already a basic income program, which we're going to talk about in a moment. The cost of maintaining poverty. So when you see homeless people sleeping on the street, right? When you see people retreating into shelters and dealing with emergency services, like when you talk to a person and they've got teeth falling out of their head, to maintain that costs Ontario alone $33 billion. Okay? So you go province by province, you do the math, and you start to realize, like, oh my God, we are spending as a society far more than a basic income would cost us to ameliorate a lot of these problems. So then on top of that, just recently I'm reading an article here that was someone in this group actually sent it around. So thank you very much. I forget your name, but thank you very much for actually doing that. The Economic Analysis of Child Benefit Bolsters Case for National Basic Income by Laurie Monsabratten. Okay? God bless you, Laurie Monsabratten. Thank you so much for actually writing this, because it shows pretty clearly... where's the quote? Where's the quote? Sorry, I'm the most unprofessional person on the planet. I don't have my facts ready for me in front of me. This was written in September 2019. I'm just scanning it. God, I would love... yeah, here we go. At an annual cost of $24 billion... this is talking about the child care benefit, okay? The child care benefit is literally a basic income for children. We've had it for a while now. Every dollar Ottawa spends in child benefits generates almost $2 in economic activities. At an annual cost of $24 billion, the report figures the benefit generated more than $46 billion in economic activity, or about $139 billion in 3 years. So not only is the basic income cheaper to administer, not only is it cheaper to enact and to do than to maintain the system that is failing us right in front of our faces, it also actually generates economic activity. So it pays for itself and then gives us more. So at this point, to stand against the basic income, even on financial terms, means that you have to be a rapacious sociopath. You have to either be directly benefiting from keeping people in poverty, which that's not difficult to create or believe a narrative that says that. So you have to either be directly benefiting from the misery and poverty of other people, or you have to actually be enjoying it, which I think is actually part of it as well, and something that we should be taking seriously as a society. There are definitely people who enjoy the misery of others. The Germans created a word for it, Schadenfreude, right? Literally translated the enjoyment of the misery of others. This is something that we need to be more frank about and discuss more openly. There are definitely people who I talk to. And they think, "Oh, John, you're going too far. You're that's too much." I don't think so at all, and I think you're just being a coward, and I think you're being gulled. You ever wonder why it is that like overtly evil villains in our literature have henchmen? You ever wonder what keeps those henchmen in line, right? Well, now you know, right? Because we have sociopath, like if Andrew Scheer and Conrad Black, these people who are telling us to get back to work, to get rid of this CERB program, they are sociopaths. And we should be open about that. And we should be saying outright, I believe at this point, if you are voting conservative with their kind of ideology of death and destruction, there is something actually mentally wrong in here. And you need to start seriously addressing that. More subtly is the liberals, right? The liberal position. What I've been getting from liberals is this kind of hemming and hawing that says, well, these things, they take time to enact. No, they don't. The CERB was enacted in a week. We can do it in a week. And anyone who tells me differently is simply attempting to keep the carrot dangling in front of your face. They're simply attempting to continue selling you to corporate power. Because now not only do we know that the basic income costs less to do than what we're currently doing, we also know that it doubles its economic activity, right? That's called an investment. And what you're investing in is the well-being of your society. The absolutely crazy position now that we're facing is, so this is actually a way to improve the society, improve the well-being of the people around us, and actually create a more stable economy that actually generates more wealth for the people around. But we can't do it because like 10 people are worried that they might have to start caring about their employees more. And that's really what they're saying, right? When someone stands up and says, well, who would go work for these people? Who would go work for people who don't care about them and who are seeking to abandon them the second they possibly can? Who would? Would you expect a person to? If all things were equal and one person was abusing another person, don't you want a person to be able to walk away from an abusive, exploitive relationship? Isn't that what you want? It doesn't seem to be the case, though, for the liberals and conservatives. It actually does seem that especially the conservatives, they're the exploiters, so obviously they want to maintain that. But the liberals, they're sort of stuck because they understand, they read, they actually understand the exploitive nature of capital, and they understand that people are being exploited by it. They just don't want to do anything about it because they're cowards. And I actually don't, like, my position couldn't be really any clearer. Like, I feel like the liberals are going to stand up and once this becomes a more major issue, they're going to stand up and say like, oh, well, vote for us and we're going to enact it. I'm over that. I'm not voting for them if they are going to promise to enact it. If they enact it, I'll think about it. That's where I'm at now, because the absolute, like, they're the ones who commissioned the Parliamentary Budgetary Office to find out how much it costs. So they're interested, right? They just don't want to pull the switch because their corporate owners won't like it. And you can see exactly that in the CERB, right? Their corporate owners obviously were upset with them for passing the CERB. They obviously were mad that the liberals went ahead and passed a program to help the populace. And that's why we have this whole gotta open the nation narrative that's going around. And so the liberals were fine passing a policy in a rush in the midst of a pandemic. But now that they're actually getting pushback from the sociopaths, they're caving completely, and they will cave completely because they don't have a spine. They want to be the princes on the white horses that come in and swoop in and save the day. But the second the dragon shows up, they run back to their castle. That's really what it is. And that's why we're ending up with these half measures. That's why we're ending up with a confusing Serb program that is full of holes and is dropping people through. That's why they continuously have to sort of cherry pick little tiny issues here and there, because they're cowards and they won't actually enact the program that we know needs to happen, that we know will universally improve the society, that will pay for itself and then generate more economic activity, exactly like the child care benefit. We really are to a point now, and I don't see why we should be silent about this. I'm not going to be ashamed for calling a sociopath. And if you don't want to be called a sociopath, maybe you should stop acting exactly like a sociopath. And this is going to get worse, guys. Like, this pandemic that we're facing here is the tip of the iceberg, right? Climate change is in our faces. We've done nothing to ameliorate it because we've elected the sociopaths and cowards for the last 40 years. We're not actually facing what needs to be done in order to actually get through these issues and to deal with the sincere problems that we're facing. We're simply bowing down to corporate power, telling them, "Oh, let's, the free market will figure it out." The free market's not going to figure anything out. Someone commented on one of my posts recently. Well, won't this make people more dependent on government? And my response, I think, is now, you'd rather be dependent on sociopaths? Right? You'd rather be dependent on people you can't vote out. You'd rather be dependent on people who you have no opportunity to actually interact with except to sell yourself to, right? We really are at this heightened moment where things need to change. Things need to change. And we have the solution right in front of us, down to the numbers, right? 5 years ago, people would say to me, "Well, how are you going to pay for that?" Well, now we can. Not only can we, it actually improves the society and we get more back. We have the numbers. And still, this is really what it's coming down to, is that what's being revealed through this conversation and through this unveiling is that the conservatives and the liberals want to pay more to keep people in poverty. That's really what it's coming down to, guys. That they are happy paying more to keep people in poverty, because that way they get desperate people selling themselves to an exploitive labor market. That's how this system works. They are, to them, paying extra in order to keep people desperate is an investment. That's how Skeletor thinks. That's how evil demons think, right? Keep people desperate and poor so that when you say, "Come work for me," they have no alternative. And if you were to erect a system that actually ameliorated that, that would be a problem for them. So if the hero of a story like Harry Potter or Gandalf or Frodo wanted to, like, this is really what it is. Frodo's ascending to throw the ring into Mordor, and Sauron is like, "No, that'll kill the economy." Yeah, that's the idea. We would really love to kill the economy of Sauron, right? This is the thing that these conservative types and these liberal types do not understand. They do not understand the depths to how badly they have fucked up. They do not understand the depths to how badly they have absolutely fucked up. We are not going to suddenly swing back into the conservative camp. They are the forces of Sauron. Their toadies are orcs and henchmen who are hell-bent on the destruction of our society. What we need at this moment is not to reform their economy. It is to summon the Ents and destroy them. You understand? This is where we are at now. I am not interested in negotiating with these people. They are embarked in a death cult level war. A war against the populace, a war against workers, and the tiny little crumbs that the Trudeau government is willing to sort of flick out there is only a way for these forces of darkness to attempt to maintain power. Because what they do is they flick out a tiny little benefit in the hopes that will quell the dissent. You understand that the peasants revolt, and so instead of saying, well, we're going to give you nothing, and so then you get voted out, right? Instead, they flick a tiny little crumb, and the peasants go, well, okay, I guess it's something, and then they go away. We are not going away. We are not going away. You are fucking up. You are fucking up bad, and we are going to vote you out. Support a basic income, enact a basic income, and if you don't, we are going to vote you out. It's as simple as that. Good luck out there, guys. These are dark times, because I'm not confident that we win this fight, and that we are just going to continue to sell ourselves into wage slavery. But we need to stand with one another in solidarity. We need to continue moving forward, and we need to continue putting pressure on the political class. And more importantly, we need to vote NDP. It's just the end of it, right? Like, fuck the conservatives, fuck the liberals, they're done. We need to vote NDP. And anybody who stands up and tells me, like, oh, if you vote NDP, there's a risk that the conservatives will... Good, let's get those conservatives in. Let's reveal what they are to the populace full scale. Let's show the complete and complicity and failure of the liberal class to protect us. They know exactly what they need to do, and they choose not to do it. That makes them worse than the conservatives. You understand? That makes them worse. All right, that's the end of my time. Like, share, subscribe, send this around. We need to start screaming at the top of our lungs. We need to start screaming at the top of our lungs because we are being exploited, and they are actively looking for ways to continue to exploit us. So we need to smash this system. Good luck.